Hello, and this is my review of the Nissan Qashqai, a tall riding small crossover, now with e-power hybrid trim. Hello, welcome back to the interface. My name's Alex. This is the third generation pre-facelift Nissan Qashqai. This one has just been replaced by the facelift edition in the last few weeks, which really is basically the same car. We've got some materials updated inside. The design has changed a little bit on the front, but overall this is very similar to the new car as well. Around the front we have got a quite interesting design, sort of quite wide headlights here. These headlights and the fog lights are all LED as standard, which is really good. And there are a lot of creases on the front here. It's quite a complex design, but also it looks quite nice really. We've got some aero bits here, so you can see in there's some holes to let air into the tyres, probably to help improve sort of the efficiency of the vehicle and improve the drag as well. Parking sensors on the side here as well, parking sensors there. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6 parking sensors on the front, and we have got a tow eye there as well. On the front we've got some black gloss here, got the grille design here, most of which is blocked off actually, and then the brand new, well, kind of new Nissan badge as well, which is quite a minimalist design. There are some plastic chrome pieces on the front here, which sort of breaks up the materials used on the front. We have got a black gloss plastic item here. What do you think about the design of the Nissan Qashqai? Let me know in the comments down below.
Around the side, the design looks pretty good. Lots of creases and complicated edges, and the e-power logo too. Alloys on this one are 19 inches and use 235/50 R19 tyres. In the boot is a split level arrangement, and with the seats up, space is 504 litres, going up to 1,593 litres with the seats down.
For the interior of the Nissan Qashqai, they've actually done quite a good job. We have got quite a flat, tall dashboard here with lots of physical buttons for the heating controls. We have got dials for the temperature. We have also got buttons for the fans, which is really, really good and easy to use. We have got the gear selector down here. So we have got reverse, neutral, D and B. So B is sort of kind of regen. We have also got E pedal, which we'll get to in the driving section, which is quite a nice way to drive a vehicle. It's kind of like an EV, which is lovely. We have got wireless phone charging down here. Now it took me a little while to find the USB-C and USB-A ports in the car, but they are actually in the center console bin. So we have got USB-C and USB-A in there, both of which are for data, which is quite good. The center console is also sort of 2 levels. We have got 2 buttons, and we can open up the deep pocket or the little pocket for your key if you want to put it in there. 2 really good sized cup holders, which is nice to see, and they support the largest of flasks, which is quite nice. The main star of the show is the 12.3-inch infotainment screen with support for Amazon Alexa, which I haven't used yet, wireless Apple CarPlay. There's also sort of usual DAB radio. There's a TomTom sat-nav built in, with also Google Maps Street View as well if you want to access that, which is quite cool. The infotainment screen itself is okay. It's a little bit laggy to respond. Some of the icons have some weird animations. The settings button is up there, and we can swipe through and get different access to different things if we want to. There are shortcut buttons up here, so we have got on and off for the audio. Got track, forward and back. Got dark mode and light mode, or actually the brightness of the screen. And we have got a camera as well, so you can get access to the left-hand camera, the front camera, there's reversing cameras as well if you knock the car into reverse, which is quite cool. Lots of features on this screen, and I believe this is the same system on the new facelifted Qashqai as well. The steering wheel, actually, I've got a thing about steering wheels, and this is a lovely steering wheel to use. It is leather wrapped, I believe, but it's a nice sort of size. You can get your hands on 9 and 3 o'clock, which is nice. And then there's physical buttons for everything down here as well. So you've got cruise control, the media settings down here, and then some buttons to control all of the settings on this screen here, which is, again, 12.3 inches, just like the infotainment screen. For a full in-depth look at the infotainment screen and the driver's display, check out my video in the top right-hand corner, or the description down below, where I go over all the settings and all the different details of this infotainment screen and driver's display. This one does have the optional Bose speaker sound system, which sounds pretty good. I've definitely heard better recently, but there are 10 speakers in total, and the price for that option extra is on screen right now. The wheel also has adjustment for sort of reach and rake, so that's as far as it goes in, but you can get it all the way out if you want to, and then there's up and down movement as well. So that's quite a good amount of adjustment. There are also some buttons down here. So there's a quick button to turn on and off the heads-up display, which is quite nice. There's a button to open up the tailgate. There's a shortcut button for the steering assist on and off, which is good. And then they've got some brightness controls down here. A whole array of buttons for the windows, which is good to see. You can lock and unlock the doors, usual sort of stuff there. So overall, good quality hardware and materials everywhere. Good amount of physical buttons. They've done a good job with the front interior. So in the back of the Nissan Qashqai, there's actually a surprisingly good amount of space. This seat here is set up for my driving position, and I'm around 5'7", and there's a really good amount of space for my knees here. There's actually a good amount of space underneath the driver's seat for my feet as well. There is a little bit of an angle, so the floor underneath the driver's seat is doing that. So it's a little bit raised. I don't know if that's for comfort, but it does seem a little bit odd. There is quite a significant transmission hump here, which could impede on the central passenger's comfort quite a bit. We've got the usual amount of air vents here. There are 2 USB ports, one's USB-A and one's USB-C. So it'll keep the kids entertained. Speaking of kids, there are some ISOFIX connectors with plastic removable covers here. They do look a bit odd, but they'll be at least functional. We have also got an armrest in the middle here, quite a flimsy feeling unit. These cup holders are very shallow and the grips on the side aren't flexible, they're just plastic. So these, I feel, if you put cups in them or anything, they'll just fall over and you'll get drink everywhere, which is not ideal. So they could have been a little bit deeper in my opinion. And then the star of the show is the sunroof in the middle here. We have got a full length sunroof with a blind that does close. And then interestingly, there isn't too much space lost here. There's a little tiny hump here where the blind will coil up, but overall it's not impacting on headroom really much at all. So that really does help lift the cabin and it makes it feel a little bit airy. It also is better light for filming as well. So the first thing you notice when you drive the Nissan Qashqai is just how similar this is to an electric vehicle. Don't let the e-Power branding fool you into thinking this is an electric vehicle. It isn't, but it kind of is at the same time. So this is quite a unique vehicle. We've got an electric motor and a 1.97 kilowatt hour battery pack that does the job of driving the wheels. So for all intents and purposes, this is an electric vehicle drivetrain, which is quite interesting. Interestingly, the electric motors actually come from the Aria for this vehicle. Now, there is a conventional petrol engine at the front. That isn't driving the wheels. What that is doing is generating power. So as you'll notice when you're driving along town and that sort of thing, that the engine will just cut out and cut back in again of free will, basically. Now, we do get reasonable MPG actually. So we've got a 55 litre fuel tank, which is quite large. And I've done about 12.5 hours in this since last week, which is actually quite a bit. I've nearly 500 miles and I've averaged 53 MPG. On some runs, I've seen about 56, 57, which for a vehicle this size isn't actually too bad. Now what's nice is that even though the battery is small, you can run the Qashqai on EV only mode if you want to. There are some buttons down here to do that. And if you are used to electric vehicles, there is a one pedal driving mode as well, which is lovely. It makes driving in town quite easy as well. So we've got an e-pedal mode here. And as you let off the accelerator, you'll get regen braking. And every time you get out of the vehicle as well, there'll be a little driving score, let you know how many stars you got. So I got 5 stars yesterday doing a drive in town. And then it'll also tell you how many miles you got for free from regen. So I think I did like an hour and a half in the car. I got 11 miles back from regen, which is quite cool. So that's the drivetrain messy bit out of the way. You don't have to plug this car in, don't worry. The engine will run at a slow RPM, thus using less fuel, but it will charge up the batteries when you need to, and you'll gain a bit from regen as well, but you can't plug the car in. So with that out of the way, what does this car like to drive? Well, it's actually really smooth. As I mentioned, because it drives like an EV, albeit with a little bit of engine noise, it's actually really smooth. You get the benefits of regen braking, get the benefits of really smooth powertrain. There's no juddering from gears, there's no clutches to mess about with, so it is quite smooth and quite easy to drive. If you just drive normally and don't think about how a car works, this is brilliant because in theory it should be a lot more reliable as well. In terms of the drive itself, when I first got in the car last week, it does feel a little bit loose at the back end. It just feels like a little bit cheap, or actually a little bit light, which Nissan, when this was announced, did say that this generation of Qashqai was a lot lighter than the one before it. The doors primarily feel a lot lighter as well. But everything is very smooth, the steering's very smooth as well, very light to use, and there's very little engine noise when it is turned on. We've got a lot of creature comforts. We've got auto hold here, we've got different driving modes. We've got D and B. B will give you a bit more regen, and then we have got the e-pedal or one pedal driving mode. There's a button there. You do have to turn that back on every time you get back in the car, which isn't a massive issue. The Qashqai does have cruise control, adaptive cruise control, lots of different things here. It's very, very tech laden. This is the Tekna trim level, so there's quite a lot that comes with it. But overall, it's very quiet, very serene, and quite a nice experience, if not a little bit boring, to be honest. There isn't much in the way of interestingness with the car, but a lot of people are after that now. They're after just a lot of people are after a car that isn't, I don't know, isn't as interesting, but it just gets the job done. And I feel like the Qashqai would do just that. Driving this around this week, I have noticed a lot of Qashqais on the road. It's one of those cars that sort of blends into everyday life. You don't really notice them until you drive one.
That's been a look at the Nissan Qashqai. Thanks for watching. If you like this sort of content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.